product. And he got an A, of course, and I've been playing his song for the last 3 years. So I owe him residuals like crazy. But I mean, life goes on. So maybe I'll give him a gift from time to time. I mentioned the Gateway Community College because we're going to talk about colleges and education and elementary schools and secondary schools. And, we're in the most wealthiest state in the nation, but it seems that we might have some issues in terms of how can we equitably distribute education and share education and make education happen. Will it be safe? Will it be absolutely safe and constructive in a few months? And also, even after things resolve themselves, we may still have some issues in terms of quality education and fair education and social justice education, et cetera. So my co-conspirator, all of you, by the way, are co-conspirators. Everybody that you see on the panel, you guys are co-conspirators with me today. So if we get arrested and sent to Niantic and Summers or wherever we might be in Cheshire, we'll just have to kind of still communicate somehow. And I say that because my co-host today is Jesse Turner. And Jesse, in fact, you've been arrested. How many times have you been arrested, Mr. Turner?
We don't want to say it.
Okay.
But all for good reason. All good reason. all civil disobedience. All standing on line either for Moral Mondays or Black Lives Matter, and earlier.
That's what Martin Luther King said. The communists arrested all the time. So you're in that pathway. So
sure. I'm the ones that the right would call outside instigators or troublemakers, commies, lefties, whatever. What I know is, if I'm getting arrested, I'm getting arrested for standing up for what's right.
And it seems to be just that you've arrested and corralled and recruited a few allies also for us today for the next 52 minutes. So I won't get the ladies in trouble because they might have children and guys might have children, and we want you guys to still survive after our next 48 minutes. But Jesse, let's get down to it. You're going to help me today kind of make things move. And really, I always like to start my show with a little bit of levity because we always talk about serious topics. And we always, in fact, talk about life and death topics. I mean, education is a life and death issue. It's a public health issue. So you have some folks on the line that have invested their lives and have stood on the barricades, if you will, stood tall about how do we make sure that education really is fair, it's economically distributed to everyone in a fair fashion and not just for some. So Jesse, kick it off. Who should we put on the hot seat this morning first?
Well, I think we should start off with Robert Codal because he's got that young kid. He's always posting these beautiful pictures of him and his son doing wonderful things. And Robert is a Hartford parent who definitely has some things to say. And he brings to us an experience as a parent, as an education activist, a TEDx talker, and board member, former teacher. He's got all those things, and he's soon to be a PhD.
Oh, good. All right. Robert, take it
Thank
away,
you,
man.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with everybody. First and foremost, thank you, Mr. Ficklin, for having us on the show. Really appreciate it. So I don't want to talk too much because we don't have a lot of time and we have a lot of people. But what I wanted to say.
Watch that Mr. stuff because I'm as young as you are. So
okay, sounds good.
I have to interrupt there. Let's just keep that straight. Keep that very straight.
All right, I got you. Okay.
All right.
But I think I'm coming on today. Obviously, Jesse said I'm a PhD candidate at UConn. I work in Hartford. I live in Hartford, but I didn't want to put that hat on just yet. I want to put on my parent hat. I have a kid that's going from 3 to 4 years old, and we're basically like home, me and my wife, and we take care of him every day. He's not in childcare, and so we trade off every single day watching my son. And one day I do work, the next day my wife does work, and we're sitting here thinking, are we really going to put him back in school right now? Right? That's like the big thing that like we're really trying to grapple with. And I think there's people today, we'll talk a little bit more, but it's like, things have slowed down in terms of people being sick with COVID and everything, but it's like, do we feel comfortable putting him in a school and then kind of restarting everything? Right. And we're like, we got PhDs, we're smart people, I guess, we know people and whatever we have, we can figure this out. But I feel like that's the question I'm having. And that's what I'm having with people in my social media and my family. It's just that big question. Like, do we feel safe enough to bring our kid in, or do we have to go back online or some combination? And in particular, and I'll leave it at this, is there's a lot of people that may not have the resources at home, right? Whether it be money, space, um, family to help them childcare when they're going to work. And so I think we really need to ground our discussion here about is, how do we help people, if we're going to keep school open or not, how do we make sure that parents at home, that we support them, and how do we think about that? So I'll just leave it at that and then turn it over. So thank you, Tom.
There you go. There you go. I did celebrate a birthday a few days ago, but I'm not saying how many years. But the two numbers, Shelly, are 8. The two numbers come to 8. I'll let you guys figure that out a little later. It's not 44. so you have to, Jesse.
28, Tom.
Yeah, that's good. Who goes next, Jess?
All right, I think we should go to our parents. So let's go to Leslie Pateau from New Haven, because we are on New Haven FM, and she's a teacher and a parent and a well-known activist in New Haven.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks again, Tom, for having us on. It's an honor to be look at this screen and see these amazing teachers, scholars that I'm here with today. So yes, I have been teaching in New Haven since 2007. I teach social studies at Metropolitan here in New Haven High School. And my daughter is enrolled to start kindergarten at Hill Central here in New Haven. She's 4 going on 5. And it's just so much up in the air. I guess one of the hardest things personally is she goes to a small home daycare right now. And it's been a wonderful place for her. And before COVID, we were doing a lot of talking of the transition to big kids school. Mm-hmm. Going to the cafeteria, getting a tray, having a teacher, just all these bigger things that are a transition from a home daycare to a public school. And that's just all on pause right now. And it's overwhelming emotionally to think about how hard it is for so many people to navigate this transition. Like to what Robert said, we're going to start and then we're going to stop again. Just this uncertainty as a parent is really challenging. But I've been an activist for longer than I've been a mom. So I'm going to shift over to my activist teacher hat right now. And I just want to remind the audience that Governor Lamont ordered a full return to school before Donald Trump did. Let that sink in. A lot of people are coming at Donald Trump for saying we have to return to school. Ned Lamont did it first. And we really have to ask the question, who's motivating Ned Lamont to demand a full return to school? And is he listening to teachers? Is he listening to parents? Or is he listening to the business lobby who really needs state subsidized childcare so that businesses can keep on keeping on? I asked that. The response is we really care about the social emotional well-being of our students. I believe that leaders in New Haven care about the social and emotional well-being of our students. I heard Dr. Tracy and Miss Red Hannons advocate for making sure that children are okay when they return to school. However, and I give them tremendous credit for what they're trying to navigate given these mandates, unfunded mandates from the state. But I question, what's the social emotional well-being of our students going to be if we return to school in this setting? And we can continue this conversation, but I'll just put that question out there. This is not a return to normal school. This is a return to, just something that none of us are used to. And I'm not sure it's going to fulfill the social emotional needs of children, given these new rules and these new requirements and just the anxiety and the unresolved trauma that so many people are experiencing right now. So I'm looking forward to the continued conversation with everyone.
Okay. Leslie, guess before we go to someone else, you referenced child care and daycare centers, et cetera. What have you heard there? Because I'm told in some states, in particular Texas, that like 1,300 cases or something, or 400 children, a number of children that are that have been tested positive. Have you heard anything from the daycare centers or child care centers that you're in touch with?
I know some are open in New Haven, and I think the place where I send my daughter is open. It's a small family daycare. They spend all day in the backyard. It's different than these large daycare, childcare centers with dozens, if not hundreds, of children. So I really have a lot of privilege that I get to send my daughter to this small place that's basically just an extended family of about 4 kids. But I would worry about these more, these bigger places with
Right.
lots of children, and spread, I believe, is going to be inevitable in these larger places,
Indeed.
as evidenced by the numbers in Texas and elsewhere.
You just reminded me. I should do a show soon with some of the daycare centers here in New Haven very soon.
Oh
And,
yeah, I know folks who would love to talk with you.
yeah, I would love to. And Robert, you have how old are your children?
I have one child. He's going to be 4 years old in November, so he'll be in pre-K 4.
Pre-K 4. So see that's okay. Jesse, who's next? Who's next?
All right, I think we should go to Shakira Perez. She's our Harvard Teacher of the Year, wonderful mother, and
Hey.
you don't know, super poet and writer from the Central Connecticut Writing Project.
So she gets $100,000 award.
She gets
for
it.
the year.
Please,
prose is
I will
great.
happily accept that.
Shakira, congratulations.
Thank you so much. So as Jesse said, I am Shakira Perez, and I work at Classical Magnet in Hartford. I teach 8th and 12th grade English language arts. I also have a 10-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old son. My son attends Classical Magnet with me. He is going to be a junior there, and my daughter attends a school in Bloomfield through Crack. And, I am here just to make sense out of all of this and really try to wrap my head around the thinking and the plans that are going into place. And I feel like there's more concern for the economy and more concern for life around us rather than the people who matter, our children, the most. And why are we putting our children at risk when obviously there is still a risk out there? And just really trying to understand that. I feel like one of my biggest arguments is, if we can reopen the state in phases, why can't we do the same with education? I feel Connecticut is in a really good place because we did just that. We opened in phases, and even Governor Lamont rethinking the 3rd phase of reopening and saying, nope, we're not going to do it. But we're still okay with moving full steam ahead with reopening the schools. That's what I have a problem with. And I feel like it's inconsiderate to the teachers, it's inconsiderate to the students, because I've been reading a lot of online articles and things like that, and everyone's worried about the social emotional health of our students if we don't go back, but they're not really considering the social emotional health of the children when we do go back.
Oh.
Because there is something that's going to be a little unnerving about having a mask, and the teacher that you go to for comfort and things like that has a mask on, or you have to talk to them through a plexiglass, or I know I break teacher rules all the time, and I hug my students. I ask them for permission first. But if you have a student that is down or is crying, and I say, do you need a hug? And I'll give them a hug, I won't be able to do that. That's the social emotional health that we need to be worrying about with students, because they don't have some of them, I won't say all of them, but some of them don't have that at home. And when they come to school, that's where they get it from. And whether or not we go back to school, I know that there has to be some sort of element of that. However, I don't think that rushing into it for the sake of having it is the best option.
Shakira, I do want to talk about the CDC levels of risk, et cetera. But when you were just talking, Shakira, you mentioned did you mention 2 boys or a boy and a girl?
I have a boy and a girl, yes.
What have you noticed? This is kind of unrelated, but in my mind, really related, because still education will still take place whether they go to school or not. They will still be taking in content. I mean, I know it's a loose, maybe not education, but their bodies will still be taking in information, taking in content, responding to the environment. The biological species will still be responding wherever they are. My point is, what have you noticed my question, notice, and I don't want to put you too much on the spot, in your 2 boys, because one is 10
The girl is 10, the boy is 16.
What have you noticed in terms of their, because with you being a teacher and a mom, developmental issues are always on your mind, and just intuitively you see developmental issues, but having your academic training, I'm sure you also see developmental issues. What have you, and not to pick on them, but let them know that I love them dearly. I don't know their names, but in terms of just young people, what do you think is going through? What have you observed through them, and also, or maybe through their peers or their friends in terms of developmental issues and just existing, learning by osmosis, just the trauma, better, joy. How are they adjusting? What's their social emotional health? How would you characterize that today?
I missed part of your question.
How would you characterize their social emotional reaction to this dilemma, this crisis, this pandemic, this global world war, in my opinion?
Right. So I know with my daughter, she is very much an extrovert and a social butterfly, and she is very much involved. I have her in gymnastics and trumpet lessons and things like that. And, her not being able to go outside she can go outside, but go outside and be with peers and laugh and play and socialize and, share secrets with her friends, I think has been it's been a little taxing on her. And one of the things that I noticed is that she likes to play a game called Roblox. Mm-hmm. And so she's like really into the computer now and like really into the technology, so much so that I feel that it's taking away from that like childlike wonder that she used to have and wanting to interact with other people. So I feel like the robots are taking over now. Mm-hmm. And I, not that it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I always, one thing that I loved about my daughter is she always had just kind of like that balance of, yeah, I'll play my little computer game, but now it's like constantly all the time where I have to pry it away from her because she's finding comfort in that because she's able to talk to her friends through like whatever chat feature they have. Mm-hmm. With my 16-year-old, he's an introvert anyway, so this is his jam. Like he's all set. He's in his little teenage cave, and I mean, I hear him. He plays his games too, and but I hear him doing different things. Like he's either playing music or playing his guitar or talking with friends, and he's another one that I have to pry out of his room so he can come and interact with us. But I mean, he's in his element, so I think he's okay. He did say at one point during all of this, he's like, I want to go back to school. He did say that. I mean, he's also very much into sports. Mm-hmm. So, he misses that as well. So I think, it's just everything about education, right? Because we say we educate the whole child. Yes. And so, it's not just the books, but it's also the activity. It's also the mental stimulation. It's everything. And, they think that it's just the books that makes education, but it's not that. And, just bringing that all the way back so suddenly, we have to ease into that to make sure that we do it right.
Profound. Thank you. Thank you for that. What are their first names? What are their first names again?
Oh, so my daughter is Scarlett, and she is just as fiery as her name. Uh-huh. And my son's name is Josiah.
Tell them hi for us.
Thank you so much.
The stars of this. And Leslie, what are your children's names?
Just one daughter, and her name is Francine. We call her Frankie.
All right. And Jason, I understand you have some young people that you're kind of corralling and nurturing and loving and making peanut butter.
We do. We have three.
Three, okay.
Yeah, we have a 9-year-old, a 6-year-old who's about to be 7, and a 4-year-old who's gonna soon be 5. Yeah.
So not a direct question for you, but just I just wanted to lift up that we're reasonably adults. I know Shakira, you're just 23. I know you got the award already for being the best teacher in Hartford. But and Shelley, you're 18, and so we had the old men on the and Rose, you're 25. But the young people too. I mean, I've been reading a lot of Fortune articles and business articles, and just demography articles about when young people go through wars or the pandemics, et cetera, the impact on them 10, 15, 20, 30, even 40 years from now is profound in terms of their economic level, their college achievements, whether they finish school, their marital status, whether they get divorced. The demography predictions are really kind of sobering. But Jason, please share a little bit.
My so spring was losing school was hard for my my oldest daughter. She's very, very social, loves her friends, loves, she's, you know, she likes the stuff they do in school to a certain degree. But, she really, I mean, the social aspect it was huge for her. And, you know, she loves interacting with the teacher and, we had, there was a lot of tantrums during the spring. Yeah.
Say that again. I mean, people are hiding. You don't have to watch TV, and you're wherever you live, wherever you're in touch with, your whole life is in turmoil. I can't speak for everybody, but I am speaking for everybody. You know, the courage to just exist and be positive in this nightmare, daymare, I think is profound. It's just, but continue.
Well, it's not something they're going to forget, right? This is going to be significant in their life. I didn't have anything remotely like this when I was growing up. Here it is in their beginning years, and they've got to figure out what is this pandemic? What is a virus thing? How to not having school? Like, that's strange. That's very strange, very abnormal. So I had spending a lot of time in house with you know, really limited contact with their friends, and so the whole base of their existence has been just put on hold. And that was really hard for Elon's, my oldest. She would go along and go along and go along, and then all of a sudden, I gotta let it, you know, it just came out, and we would just let her do her thing, and then talk with her, and, you know, find out what was happening. I mean, fortunately, we were able to both be in the house and not have to. My wife and I were there for her. We didn't have to go out and work, so that was a blessing. But my son Arion, who was in kindergarten, this was his kindergarten year, and he really didn't like to sit much in kindergarten. And he always said, Mom, there's too much work. Mom, there's too much sitting. I sit all the time. And I was like, yeah, your curriculum is not really kindergarten anymore. It's really kind of first or second grade. But anyway, he was like okay with this. He misses a few friends. We had to like bribe him to get on to his morning meeting. You know, he liked we really worked hard at limiting the screen time as much as possible. Cause we didn't want them to lose touch of reality. You know, it's the relationships part of life, and going outside and nature and all that stuff. Like, so easily you could just let them melt into the online, you know, video game media world. But I mean, we saw that in the beginning when we were giving him more time, and then we saw immediate impact in their personalities. A lot more irritable, short, not with each other, with us, not able to listen as well. So we had to take a little break from what the teachers were asking, how much time, and do some more hands-on stuff, which helped. You know, it's a balance. So it's going to be tough in the fall, with more time, going back to more time, and expectations, and there's due dates, and you know, all this stuff they have to do on their own. You know, a third grader, like, she was in third grade, and she had to do a lot of self-motivation, and we were there to kind of pick it up but the teachers, we have to be very careful about how much we load on these kids that are basically on their own, especially the middle schooler and the high schoolers, coming in, being away from, not coming into school and being away from the teacher is hard. They may have complained about it when school was on, but I bet you they're complaining a lot more now that they don't have access to the resources at the school. In fact, I know that a lot of the kids are asking if they want to come back. There's going to probably be a lot that just don't want to come back because they want to be safe, but it's something lost. And so as much as we would like to go back and have the kids go back and have that have their friends and teachers, that I don't think we're going to do it. I think my wife and I are going to keep them home. We did pretty well with our homeschool combined with the teachers' online work. And we can do it. We can continue, and we know that they're safe. We send them to school, even if it's like for a couple of hours a day. And they're wearing the mask all for, let's just say it's 3 hours, right? They got the mask. My son, who's younger, let's say he gets a cold, the mask starts filling up with all sorts of nasty stuff, and then he starts touching it, and they're like, not so much. It's not 100% safe.
And I didn't want the show necessarily to be a somber one or a sad one, but we are in a crisis, and I'm going to share. I share all my shows with a lot of people, and I think that parents, adults, if you're an adult or if you're a caregiver, even older children, you have to really kind of embrace what the impact will be with people in your nuclear family, in your extended family, in your network, just in terms of seriously, suicides, drug addiction, alcoholism, all those things are kicking in, crime, etc. So I'm typically not perceived to be a dystopian type person, but I do like to kind of speak. This is truly a historical moment. Jesse, you made a few notes. Kind of share some of the notes on the side before we come to Rhodes and Shelley. And I appreciate everyone's transparency. And Jesse, you've done such a great job of asking people to come on the show today to really talk about the heart, mind, and soul of this struggle. But Jesse, comment on it, if you would, about some of the notes that you made on the side that you want our audience to kind of be aware of.
So first of all, going back, I hear some words that I've heard that fit into inequity that we've had in our schools for 170 years. I hear policymakers talking about feasible. I paraphrase last week, I heard one size won't fit all. Well, we know that when we look at inequity in our schools, that Black and brown children, special education children, I mean, we're in the state that said special education, Black and brown children don't have the right to a quality and equitable education. They just have a right to access the basic. So what am I concerned with? On Monday, I had to make the decision for our own program at our literacy center. We have an after-school program. We have about 40 children and 20 teachers. I just love that place. But I had to make the decision after a kindergarten parent, first grade now, kindergarten last year in our program. And she called up and she said that my son just can't wear the mask. He can't go to school all day and wear this mask. I can't be I won't be part of the fall program. He's 6 years old. He can't wear the mask in the store. He's pulling it off. If I take him to the store, I stop taking him to the store. But really, shouldn't we be asking our governor and our commissioner that this is a pandemic crisis, and where is the pandemic funding coming from? You want us to go back? Well, come on, come up with the money. Stop coming up with every district. What they've done is put the blame on the districts and the schools. You come up with the plan as safe as you can, and that will be okay. To me, this is cold. This is cold for inequity. This is cold for blaming schools and teachers and communities. And I know that Westport and Darien and Simsbury and Avon are not going to have any problems doing the safe stuff. Now, even if you do the safe stuff, what is it going to be like for a first grader if I'm in between plexiglass, I'm wearing a mask, I can't go up to the front of the room and talk to my teacher, I can't talk to the people. I am worried about the social, emotional harm that's going to be done to children in the most sterile education environment in the history of the world. It is so dehumanizing. Now, trust me, I want to go back, Tom. I don't even, I hate this online stuff. But the CDC said there are 3 levels. If you're virtual, no risk. 2, more risk. And that's with the mask, that's with the plexiglass, the social distance, reduce like that. That's with the crazy looking school. And then there's high risk. I am afraid that Connecticut is saying, if you're black and brown, you're going back to a high risk school situation. That's what's going back. So I'm just laying down the line. I'm Moral Monday's education ambassador. I'll call you out on it. That's all.
Do you
Rose
think
might have something to
you
say.
think we should let Jesse come on the show again? Everybody? Should Jesse be allowed to come back? I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
The
Maybe
FBI
not.
might be knocking on my door.
Might
FBI
have to check on it.
my door right now.
I have some bail money for you, Jesse.
Bail money, all right. Connecticut bail fund. Like, Rose. No,
We don't pay any bail. Moral
you hear
Monday.
me now?
Yes. They hear you now.
I want to express a gratitude for the insight that everyone before me has provided. And I certainly don't want to be repetitive, but I think it's worth noting that everyone touched upon the big issues, which is how valuable are we with CDC guidelines being compromised? First, it was 6 feet. Now it's okay to be 3 feet. I think I'm 6 feet worthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Definitely.
So it's infuriating to be put on the spot as the government and the industry, continue to pressure the most vulnerable service, teaching, because they're working on the sentimentality, and the kids are tugging at the parents' shirts, going, "I want to go back. I want to go back." They want to go back to what they know, and what we're doing is preparing them for a dystopian experience, a very anti-social, emotional growth opportunity, and it's dehumanizing, as Professor Turner has said. But it's okay, because we are fulfilling some service for who? The industries, right? The industries that are all up the backside of our governor and our commissions, because they need my workers. And here's a flip. Here's the flip that I want you guys to think about. The kids are relatively my linchpins to keeping their parents safe. The reason my parents are not getting infected is because they're not out there. You remove the children from their homes, they're going to go out there. And my Latino population is part of the preponderance of affected people, right? And they all have friends and relatives where? In the 5 hotspots. So while my children may not actually get infected, they will be transmitting, right? And then they're going to impact the 70.1% staff members that are over 35 years of age.
Not me.
Right? I mean, people are not thinking. It's not so much that we don't care about the children. We always, one life is too many. But the fact that if we remove the children from their homes, and the pediatric academy, I am up to here with them, because they're so bought. They were so bored. That first article is on my website, and I was very disappointed. I sent a message that I was disappointed about that article, because the last paragraph is the real essence of the purpose of that article, which was, sure, kids need to be safe, right? But their parents need to work. I'm like, oh, that's your real reason for this. Again, subsidizing childcare for hundreds of years for the industry, and now they are demanding to put us at risk for their convenience. I'm not having it. Not having it. The other piece was, you want my building, you're going to rent it. You want people to take care of the children, you're going to hire professionals, and you're going to train them like healthcare workers. And then you're going to subsidize my salary so that I can train myself better for remote teaching. And that's what we should be demanding from the industries and the businesses that are pushing this kind of compromising of CDC guidelines, this kind of reopening planning, and the stuff that's going on behind the scenes. That's my position. Oh, wait.
Take your time, Rose. We got plenty of time.
Well, I also want to, Leslie Buttold mentioned this, like the status of teacher evaluations. Common Core was the detriment of enjoying school and teaching, right? And now are we going to impose Common Core through online? How is this possible? How is that going to work? The other piece was about we got these middle managers saying we have to have a plan in place because going back is not going to be the same. And I say to them, you don't need to plan that now. You can plan that 9 months from now and plan immediately the safest option, the one with no risk. We don't need to play high risk, low risk, no risk. It's no risk, no risk, low risk. That's the way the model should have been. It shouldn't have been high, medium, low. It should have been no, low. No one's listened. Thank you.
Well, we're going to make sure people listen. And that's really, I'm just indebted to Jesse for making this happen. And
oh, you know that teachers aren't sending their kids to school, you know. You know that, right? My teachers are not sending their children to school.
And Leslie Rose, before I come to you, Shelley, Leslie Rose raised
my
the issue
birthday.
About,
My birthday.
It's your birthday today?
No, the 9th.
Oh, the 9th. All right. Happy birthday. Sweet 16, Rose. Sweet 16. Leslie, I believe you're having a with some teachers applying pressure to the government to the state at the state capitol. You're holding an event. Share a little bit about that because I think
we're breaking the news here. There's been a groundswell of response from families, from teachers across the state. I think primarily in our cities, because we know, as Professor Turner and Rose said, that the full return is going to impact our cities, families more than it's going to impact the wealthier, whiter suburbs. So there's a groundswell of energy. We need better leadership from the state. So we are organizing a car caravan that's going to start in Hartford and drive to the state capitol on Thursday, July 23rd. The location to meet will be announced, but people will see it on Facebook, trust me. But we're going to meet at 10 a.m. in Hartford and do a car caravan, masks, stay in your car, social distance, lots of signs, lots of honking. The legislators will be in session on Thursday, July 23rd, so they will hear from us and we're going to let them know they need to put the brakes on in-person learning. Like Shakira said, this needs to be safe. Second, we want Ned Lamont and the federal government to fully fund the safest return possible, not just pass the buck to the districts. We are already underfunded because Connecticut funds on property taxes. And lastly, as Rose said, we should be spending this time investing and making sure that we do the best job with distance learning. To Jason's point, we should be making sure that books are in every home, math manipulables in every home, art supplies in every home, so that kids can continue learning without the reliance on screens. Yes, we need the screens, okay, but that's not all learning is. Let's get notebooks, pencils, crayons, all the things that are in schools.
I did it.
We can create an army of school supply distribution. Why are we not doing this? Because Ned Lamont is not interested in our nation, in our state's most vulnerable children. So follow up with us. We will be getting the word out for July 23rd, car caravan to the Capitol to demand better leadership from the state government.
And Leslie, just before we go to Shelley, share with us, recite again or share it with us again the demands, the requests, what you would like to see happen. What would you like to see happen?
Yes.
They have the car caravan because
the New Haven Public School advocates are organizing it, so folks can follow them on Facebook. But we are looking for partner supporters. So by all means, send word if you want to help organize this as well. So first, put the brakes on in-person learning. We need a phase-in. Second, we need to fully fund the safest return possible. You know, the commissioner said it's going to look different in Salisbury than it is in Bridgeport. That's unacceptable. Third, we want to make sure that we are ensuring high quality professional development for distance learning so that when we are home, zero risk, staying safe, we're serving our children well.
Excellent. Shelley, we're saved the best for last, but I mean, you know, Jesse's the best of the best.
Jesse will follow me.
and Shelley's had a chance to kind of endure my attempt at humor a few times. This is maybe your fourth or fifth appearance, and I think you're on some of the shows with Jesse. She's a veteran. She's had her airtime before, but we wanted for some airtime today. And then let's just go to closing words, because I know we've covered a lot of topic areas that we could spend an hour on just like each topic area, but to give everybody a chance to last words and
Okay.
try to keep it to 2 minutes or so. But Shelley,
Yeah.
thank you so much, and just
You're welcome.
tell your
So,
audience about your.
well, so I'm usually talking about math education, but I'm going to stay on topic and just talk about the going back to school plan that Connecticut has. But first, I want to acknowledge that I have a 20-year-old and she's in college. So she's not K to 12, but folks, she's struggling with this. She does not want to do all distance learning. You know, most of the kids don't. They don't like the all distance learning. Let's face it, the teachers don't like all distance either. But how will she stay safe? So that's more important. And so they're talking about the 3 levels. Jesse mentioned this in the going back to school plan, the hybrid, the full, going back full, then the hybrid, and then all online distance. But the problem is, even though they're telling schools to plan for all 3 of those, the one they talk about on page 4, the priority one says, plan to have all students in all districts return to schoolhouses for full-time instruction at the beginning of the 2020-2021, so long as public health data continues to support the model. The problem is, although Connecticut is saying this is what they want, there's so much left unsaid. And even in their webinar, their live webinar where they talked and the governor was on and the commissioner of education, and they had a question and answer session, many times the answer depended on the district, or we're working on that. We're working on those plans. In the education, one of the education journals, it talks about we are going to need $25 billion to go back to school, to do all the cleaning, to have all the PPE. And Connecticut says that Connecticut districts have to be prepared to have PPE for teachers and students. How are they going to do that unless they get the funding? They don't already have equitable funding as it is. So how are they now going to have equitable cleaning and PPE and things like that? So I think that those are just questions left unanswered. Then they say the parents can choose. We're going to do surveys to figure out what parents want. And then those who choose to keep their kids at home will support them. How is this going to work for teachers? Will teachers have to do double duty? Will I have to teach my students online and then also teach the kids in the classroom? Then they say there has to be maximum distance between the students and the teachers. Really? Between kindergarten teachers and students, maximum distance? So, these are all things that you can put in black and white on paper, but in reality, how is it going to work in schools? So there's just still a lot left unanswered, K to 12, and also at the college level as well. So I just find it, I'm glad that everyone's talking about it, but we need to know. School starts back pretty soon. We need to know what's going to happen. So those are my my comments on what I've read so far.
Shelley, thank you so much. Do I have everyone's consent that I can extend an invitation for us to kind of resume this maybe after 2 or 3 weeks? Everyone's around and healthy and has enough courage to kind of come on this show, because again, the FBI is going to be after us. But I'll take that silence as a yes. And maybe even Shakira and Shelley, if you're and Robert, if some of your children are old enough and they like to kind of zoom in during the discussion, I'd be more than willing to kind of open that up. I think we need to hear the voices of the young people, and also in terms of I use the term education broadly. They're just getting used to using. They're getting for them to become more comfortable in using media. For them to be more comfortable in just knowing that their news is just as important as so I would that's an open invitation, Shakira, to your children, and Shelley, if your daughter might want to call in and zoom in on that.
We'll see.
I want to say that it's really important. I want to say that it's really important that we get together again to respond to the opening and after the caravan.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And also we wanna critique the exchange that's going on between the task force and our legislators as well as our superintendents, because we have to let them know that we're watching them, because not everybody has a plan in place yet. You know, we look at the website. Leslie and I are working on that table, and people are just sending a lot of FYI letters, superintendents, but still nothing in writing as compared to other districts. So thank you.
Excellent. Jesse will share some dates with everyone. Jason, last word, then Shakira, last word, Robert, last word, and then Leslie. Maybe a minute or so, or maybe 30 seconds, actually. Maybe 20 seconds.
If it can't be safe, then we shouldn't do it. If it can't be guaranteed, then we shouldn't do it. I'm not sending my kid to school and having them come home and wondering, oh, do they have the virus today? Do they have it today? What's that going to do to her? She's not knowing. The not knowing is really stressful.
Yes.
Far more stressful than what we can manage at home with her, with them not seeing their friends and teachers. And like they said, how friendly and wonderful is it to come into a classroom for the first time and meet your teacher when the teacher's like this, and and stay over there and not and
very good point.
And then I teach art. How am I going to do art with everybody? Everybody's going to get their own art kit. Woohoo! Why couldn't this happen 10 years ago? Last year I didn't get a budget. This year everybody gets their own art kit. That would be amazing. Not going to happen.
Shakira, 30 seconds.
I mean, I can't help but think, like, my life is not expendable. I will not make my children's lives expendable. And, the best, if we are the best of the best, then treat us that way, right? We've invested our lives, we've invested money, we've invested time, all of these things to become teachers, to educate other people's children, to educate our own children. And now it's like the government is saying, or not the government, but they're saying we don't really matter as much. You're
Putting
just
your life at risk.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
Mr. Koto.
So I'll start. I think I'll say what Governor Ned Lamont said this last year, talking about vaccinations in schools. When it comes to the safety and health of our kids, we need to take an abundance of caution. That was Governor Ned Lamont last year when requiring all parents to have vaccinations for their children to go to public school. So now we're going to send all the kids in a pandemic to public school. I just don't see it. I think we need to take action now and say, let's start online August 25th or September 1 when we're going, and then pick up the pieces for people that need help, whether it be rent help, food help, supplies for their kids, computer help. Then we pick up the pieces and go and look and see who needs help. I think that's where we need to start right now, instead of saying, which I think is a little bit crazy to say, we're going to just start up with full-time school in person. Thanks.
Rose, 15 seconds. Unmute yourself, Rose. Rose, 15 seconds.
I don't need it. Everyone has spoke eloquently, and all I can say is I'm right behind you. I got your 12. And I'm so happy to be in this company, because you are cogent and you're living proof that we're intelligent creatures and we have value and we understand the value of humanity, and we have to reinstill it in our government and in our industries. If the industry wants my parents, they're going to have to pay for it one way or the other.
Tell them, Rose. Tell them. Leslie, 10 seconds.
At the beginning of the pandemic, everybody loved teachers. Oh, triple teachers.
Yeah.
We love teachers. Now, teachers, go. Whatever risk it is. So please join us. Facebook event just went live during this event. And please join us on July 23rd to show the government in Connecticut who the Connecticut families really are and what we stand for.
Jesse, that's a wrap, ma'am. I'll have to get you in
Thank you.
We're being kicked off. We're being kicked off. So we'll be back. We'll be back.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. You're all amazing.
Thank you.
You all. Thank you. Bye.
Stay happy. Stay courage.
As I got another rhyme, another rhythm for y'all to listen. I'm never quitting on my mission. I'ma roll with what I'm giving. Got some ambition, this new edition, filling positions. Looking at the void in myself and feeling what's missing. Better watch the way you going. Better go in the right direction. In the moment you stressing, but you gon' be counting blessings. And I know that for certain. Keep on working, open curtains. Haters swerving, cause they ain't ready for your final version. I'm never gonna give up. Fall down, I just gotta get up, yeah. Cause this is my road. Let's camera action.